Salut YouTube, I hope that this video found you guys doing really well. I wanted to make this video today because one of the questions I get asked the most is, how do I learn French? How do I get started learning French? How do I break through from that slow burn between A2 and B1? I have been there. But I also realized that I'm probably not the best person in the world to ask, how do you learn French? Because my journey was messy, it was slow, and I did a lot of things wrong. And so I wanted to make this video on if I was starting from scratch, if I was to learn French again, starting from zero, what I would do differently. And I hope by doing this video that you guys will be able to learn from some of my mistakes and learn French a lot faster than I did. And also I remember what it was like when I was starting out learning French, and I'd get this advice which was like, oh, you just need to watch TV series, or you just need to speak, you just need to engage in conversation and it will come. But that advice is coming from people who have studied the language since they were 11 years old in school and are now 25 and saying, oh, hey Bonbon. Bonbon. She's crazy. Anyway, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I can't just watch series. I don't understand anything. I'm a beginner. Nothing. I did not study French at school. Like, I don't understand what they're saying. I can't just enjoy an episode of Friends or The Simpsons. It doesn't work like that. It's really unenjoyable when you understand literally zero, nothing. And like saying just speak, just get started speaking. Like, you can't. I'm really coming from a place of empathy here. I know what it feels like. I know what it was like. And I'm just going to talk through, I guess, some tips about, okay, starting from scratch, what would I do? What would my game plan be? So point number one is I would just bite the bullet and invest a little bit. I tried to do it the scrappy way. I was also a student, so like I didn't have much money, but I just tried to piece everything together myself using any free books I could get my hand on, free podcasts, free apps, and that kind of stuff. But honestly, it only gets you so far, and it's really hard when all by yourself you're trying to piece together a language. Honestly, you do a little bit here and you do the same kind of stuff there, and you kind of, yes, they can be organized by level, but you don't know what to start with or what would be most useful for you to get started with and that kind of thing. And honestly, having the guidance of a professional, a professor, some sort of tutor is priceless, quite frankly. It's not just the content they provide, but it's the structure. You know, for your level, where you're at, what should you learn next to be able to fulfill the requirements of an A1 student or an A2 student or a B1 or a B2 student. There are well-defined competencies and skills that you need to acquire at each level, and they know those and they guide you along that. And also, when you're working with real native professors, you have a safe space in which you can practice speaking. So I tried and dabbled with a lot of different places, but at the end of the day, the cheapest, most effective, most convenient solution that I ever found is Lingoda. So Lingoda is an online language learning platform. You can learn English, business English, Spanish and German, as well as French, of course. And it's a platform where they provide the exact structure you need for your level. They connect you with native professors. You can either have private tuition or small group courses. And it's super convenient because you can learn 24/7. You can choose the times that suit you. You don't have to be there at exactly the same time every single week. You really adapt it according to your schedule. And I actually waited until I had B1, so low intermediate level, before using Lingoda, and I'm like, why did I wait so long? Because honestly, I went from B1 to B2, so high intermediate, more fluent conversational, able to engage in debates and discussions and that kind of thing in such a short period of time. I was also preparing to pass the exam for the French nationality, and I wanted B2. I passed it at C1 thanks to Lingoda in just a few months. It was just insane. But what's even cooler with Lingoda is that they offer something called the Lingoda Language Sprint. By doing that, you actually have the opportunity to earn 100% cashback. And the really great news is if you're watching this before the 3rd of April 2020, they've just extended the sign-up window for this round of the Lingoda Language Sprint, which is completely crazy because you can get 100% cashback on all of your lessons for 3 months. So how it works is that the sprint is super intense, and it's designed to really improve your confidence and get you speaking the language as quickly as possible. And it does work. So it's a period of 3 months. And so you can either take 30 language lessons per month for 3 months and be eligible for a 100% cashback, and that's the super sprint, or you can do the sprint, which is 15 language lessons per month for 3 months, and you can get 50% cashback. And you may be asking, well, why would they do that? It's basically just to reward and celebrate language learning and your commitment to doing so. It's a super cool promotion. I really, really love it. And I'm a big fan of Lingoda. I know that a lot of my subscribers have successfully completed these challenges, and it can be pretty life-changing. I mean, they have gotten jobs in a different language, they have met the requirements they needed to get into study programs or university, they have made new friends. Like, it's pretty awesome. For me, there's just such a big difference in doing something like this in a small group size. Like, they only have an average of 3 people in each group, and speaking with a native professor and actually speaking and conversing after just 3 months. So you can sign up for the Lingoda language sprint before April 3rd, as I was saying. Spaces are limited, so the sooner the better. But what you need to know is that the sprint starts on the 8th of April 2020 and goes until July 6th. 2020. So to reserve your spot, you just need to click on the link down below. It will take you to the sign up page where you'll pay for the first month up front to reserve your spot. I've actually got a €10 off code for you, which is sign up 15, that you can use using my link, which will give you €10 off that. And then you'll just pay for the following months as they come up. And it really doesn't matter what level you're at. You could be absolute beginner to actually very advanced. So they've got C1 and C2 levels as well. And of course, if you show up and you attend the courses that you committed to in the Lingoda language sprint, you can get 100% cashback or the 50% cashback depending on which package you sign up for. So go to the website, check out the contest rules if you need to, go and check out their Instagram page at Lingoda_official. They've got loads of success stories, testimonials, all that kind of stuff. Seriously, it works. I wish I'd done it before I moved to France. I'd wish I'd done it at the beginning for sure. So click my link down below if you would like to do the Lingoda language sprint. It's really awesome. Now, the second thing that I would do differently for my French language learning journey is very much around making it a daily practice, making it a ritual, because what I would do is I'd get so busy. I was studying in English and I was working in English and my relationship is in English and I had expat friends. So I had this life in English and I would kind of like once a week or once every 2 weeks sit down and try and cram French and study it for 3 hours. It doesn't really work very well for the brain. I mean, it's not good in terms of memory and acquisition. And if you think about the way a child learns a language, it's very much just a little bit every single day. So I would make it a daily ritual and practice. And I would do that by integrating into something that I do every single day. So for example, I go onto Instagram every single day and there's a really, really cool Instagram account called Paris O'Clock. You may actually recognize Aurelie because she's been on some videos with me, and she gives out daily pieces of inspiration and little nuggets and little things that help you remember rules and grammar around the French language with her Instagram account. So I definitely recommend going and following her as well, because something like that just every day, just reminders, and it's just helping that memory and that information in that language to embed. Something linked to this as well is that I would have made more effort if I could start again into making the language acquisition and learning the language more enjoyable. I don't know why I sat there for hours and hours forcing myself to do these French grammar books that, quite frankly, felt quite painful to get through. So like, I enjoy being on YouTube and consuming YouTube content. So why wasn't I watching, language videos on YouTube or watching French children's shows on YouTube? Again, not watching those series. Like everyone's like, oh, just start with series. Like, and you can't, but really basic shows for babies or something like at least it's a bit more visual and entertaining, right? Shows for little kids can be surprisingly addictive. I think they're designed to be addictive for kids, so they kind of work as well. If you prefer to read, kids books, comic books, like things that are funny, things that are engaging. And I was also trying to force myself to read the news, and I never read the news. I just don't do that. I never did it in New Zealand. I'm not a read the news person. I like to watch the news. I like video content. So again, there's access to the news on the internet, on French news sites. You can stream it live. You can watch replays. Again, that the news does start to get a bit more advanced, but the good thing about the news is that because you know the news, because it's world news, you've already heard the stories or read about the stories in your own language. You watch it in French, you've got the context and it's easy, and the acquisition, I think, happens a lot faster. Or like a movie that you've already seen 100 times and then you watch it in a new language. That's a really good thing to do as well. And also just doing things like, I like to listen to music while I'm cooking, so just changing that up to French music as well to make it a little bit more fun and not put so much pressure on myself that I need to learn. Again, when you think about the way kids learn languages, they don't start with grammar books, that comes a few years in. So I think it's good to do, don't get me wrong, and I think there is a place for grammar books and apps and that kind of stuff. But it's not what's going to get you there the fastest. The fastest is you've got to be able to understand and you've got to be able to speak. And that is going to make you learn French so much faster, actually engaging in the language and speaking the language, than a grammar book will any day of the week. The next point is that I just wish I could get over myself a little bit. If I had gotten over myself sooner, I would have had so much more success learning French, honestly. I was so shy. I just wouldn't speak. I refused to let myself look like a fool, look like an idiot. I wanted to make sure that the sentence was perfect in my mind before I spoke. And by the time you do that, the conversation has moved on for 2 minutes already. It doesn't work like that. You've got to look like a dick. You've got to look like an idiot. I think I needed to move my expectations of success from like being able to speak perfectly and being able to like form a grammatically correct sentence. The expectation should have been be understood, make it work. If you need to go into a bakery and say pain and look at and point to the bread, s'il vous plaît, and it works, that's a success. You're speaking French, you just won that situation. And that's not at all the attitude that I had when I was learning. I was just like, oh, I sound like an idiot. And when I said pain, she was like, and then I was like, bread, and I didn't dare to ask again because of my silly accent and stuff. No, that's never gonna work. You're never gonna learn a language like that. You've got to get over yourself. You've got to be prepared to look silly. And you don't even look silly, because if you're stumbling over a language, it means at least you've got another one. Like you're on language number 2 or 3 or 4, that's impressive in and of itself. So there's definitely a whole mindset thing around learning French, which I would completely work on and change if I were starting again from scratch. So that's what I would be doing differently if I were learning French again from scratch, from zero today. So again, don't muck around for 2-3 years learning French like I did. If you want to accelerate it and get speaking confidently and quickly, click the link down below, sign up for the Lingoda Language Marathon. It's one of the best investments that you can make into your language learning. And anyway, if you succeed at the marathon, you just show up for the agreed number of courses, you're gonna get a refund. So it's a pretty sweet deal. Let me know down below if you were learning a language again from scratch, what would you do differently? Or if you're currently learning it, what are some of the tactics that are really working well for you? I'd love to hear about it. And otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bisous and a bientôt. A bientôt. A bientôt.